I wanted to do a little bit of a walkthrough from the 40 Variations by Otakar Ševčík, Czech violinist and teacher, and these are etudes that, or variations really, that Orlando Cole, my first college teacher, had me learn. I think all of his students learned them. They're adapted for cello by, actually I don't know, I should have looked it up. Feuillard, I think it's Louis Feuillard, French cellist, and he wrote his own very good bow studies that I recently discovered online from cello teacher, Professor Robert Jesselson. So shout out to him. And I just wanted to go through a couple of the first few of these variations, and I'll probably go through more after a while. I only had 1 year with Orlando Cole, so I did not get through all 40, got through about half of them maybe in a year. So, first one, and I'm adapting these strokes and even the bowing sometimes to how Orlando Cole taught it to me. I'm not trying to change, unless there's hardly anything I really changed about that. I did kind of refine it, and I didn't remember everything that Mr. Cole told me to do. So, variation 1 says, at the frog, and it's the key point of it, you play a triplet close to the frog, but then you have 3 up bows. And for this, the bow has to be thrown in the air. So practice it first. It's about just under a quarter of the way from the frog. You can see, I'll move my fingers a little bit. You can see the frog there. Yeah, so the quarter point's about there. It's just like half an inch under. Sorry about the imperial or, whatever system we use in America. So just the beats 2, 3, and 4, the up bows. Then when you get more used to the stroke, you don't have to raise it so high, but it's primarily the arm stays pretty still and the wrist kind of jerks upward a little bit. I shouldn't say jerk, because he uses that in the English translation at least for a different stroke. So this is just kind of nicked upward or something to sound. Then when you're more in control and it goes faster, less motion this way because it takes too long. I'm not getting a good sound. There we go. It's really just thrown forward and recovered. A little bit of a outward motion that way. Can't demonstrate it very well, but okay, so now I'll just play through it and then maybe show a couple of things, side views. And I'm trying to make sure, if you're at the frog, the sound can sound a little harsh and crude. So I, adapt it over, well, I won't say I've practiced it for decades, but I first got them decades and decades ago. And you just, as a mature musician, you listen to how you sound and you decide if you don't like the way you sound, you adjust your technique to make it the right sound. So that's playing at the frog, but then a more gentle, much more wrist and even fingers approach, and not quite as angular vertical motions. Let's go on to the second one. Fairly simple if you know this stroke, but spiccato is not necessarily easy, and one of my little Orlando Cole stories is I would do spiccato, and my high school teacher who got me to audition for Curtis and Juilliard, and so got me from Texas to Philadelphia eventually, was Michael Corin, and he set me up with a pretty good spiccato. He did his best anyway. And so, I thought, oh, I can play off the string. I want to improve it. I want to see what this great teacher tells me to do. And basically, I was doing it right, but I couldn't control it. When you're first learning the stroke, there's the sense of not wanting to let go. And spiccato is about basically a controlled drop. And when I say controlled, I don't mean too much control either. Very loose fingers, just don't drop the bow. So it comes from détaché stroke, and it gets lighter and can start to lift. So you see I'm doing a little bit of a semicircle motion in the bow. And when it goes faster, of course you can't control that. It's more just détaché in the air, and you let the wrist drop it. And when it does that, the hair is flexible, so the hair bounces from the string. I drop it on the string, it bounces up. And I'm just controlling it so it doesn't bounce 5 times. But yeah, so from this to this, and then definitely more elbow is involved. Not the upper arm, but the elbow opens up. Wrist doesn't move too much unless you're like Lynn Harrell and you have enormous hands and fingers. And the trick to this one, the tricky part of this one is there are 5 notes and you repeat, so each measure starts, you play down bow 5, you end on a down bow. The next measure starts on an up bow, you do up bow 5, then you end up, the next measure's down bow again, and then in the middle he does 2 bars together, so it's 6 plus 5, 11 beats, 11 notes, so up. Oh yes, and I didn't finish my Orlando Cole story. So I played off the string. I was like, well, it's okay, but maybe try to play a little higher in the bow, a little closer to the middle. And so I practiced. I came back the next week. It was closer to the middle. I was like, oh, now he'll like it. It's like, well, it's okay, but it could be closer to the middle. You're not there yet. Keep going. So that went on for a few weeks, and yeah. Now you get past the middle, and then the stroke gets very fluffy. You can't add much sound to it, but it's a certain kind of control to do that, and you will occasionally use that for something. So here's I messed up a note because I was thinking there's one thing I did need to say, and that is, of course, the purpose of doing one measure down bow and the other measure starting up bow is that the listener shouldn't be able to tell the difference. And I couldn't have done it a little better right now because I didn't actually prepare this, but if I actually practiced it for video, then I could do a little better than I just did. But I will just keep going, so finish it. All of these, I'm starting from above the string. That's another thing I should note. Okay, now variation 3. Oh, the other thing I want to say about these is that this one I scratched out. Quarter equals 138, and I figured the tempo that I learned it at, that Orlando Cole seemed pleased with, and I don't feel the need to have my students go faster than this, nor myself. I don't play this at 138. I wrote in 108. So I would say in general the metronome markings are quite fast on these, and you'll be just fine if you play most of them slightly under tempo. Some where there are repeated notes in the same bow, you'll need to take faster, otherwise it's very hard to control. Now this one is similar to variation 1, but it says middle of the bow. And also the up bow notes this time are piano, and the downbeat is forte, and the downbeat is a duple instead of a triplet. So, so the difference in the stroke, in the beginning, remember, it's really kind of thrown between the first 2 fingers, maybe in the thumb on the bow. It's the big part of it. This one. The further you get on the bow, it's more the whole arm, and also it's not really. I wouldn't attack it from above. Very close to the string. So. It's a little bbit of that wrist motion, but. One. These are going okay, so I don't want to like start playing them badly without having warmed up. Number 4, variation 4. I put in a slow quarter note. Quarter equals 88, like almost, like not quite half tempo, like yeah, like a bit off. And Orlando Cole had us do this with exactly the reverse to the printed bowing. So down, 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 up, 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 up. So the up bow ends up being a collé stroke, even shorter than the one in variation 1. And it's really just a little bit circular wrist this way. Also, he played it, he had the, it's called the Sleeping Beauty Montagnana that he, I think, bought from Piatigorsky. It had these huge shoulders. I borrowed it once to try, I was like, after like 8 months, I was like, Mr. Cole, can I play your cello, please? And he said, oh, sure, try it. And I did. And I was like, I had heard him play, and the sound was always so big. And so I was like, oh, I'll make a big sound. And I like attacked it and stuck all the weight in, and it just choked. It sounded like, Argh. So I was too kind of shamefaced to even continue past that. So but then later I realized that was the kind of cello you needed to, if you draw the bow in the right way, the sound just popped up because it was such an amazing cello. But it was I was not well equipped to play that cello at that point. So and this stroke kind of demonstrates that the down bows are very big. So I make my students do this very slowly. It's all about a big kind of really whole arm motion with a little bit of rotation at the elbow this way. So I would practice doing this before you try the stroke, and then from the air. Don't drop it because you don't want that. But like a big pillowcase full of air landing. I think the video makes, because my arm's getting a little closer, so it makes the motion look a little more exaggerated than I would, than in real life. But that's easy. Ask how many of my college students have had to do this for about 4 weeks before I would say it was good enough. Yeah, so it's like all these, if you want to really learn what you're doing, the end result has to sound very good. And even like I heard myself squeaking a little bit there and thinking, oh, okay, not great for a demo, but that's what it is at 6 p.m. on a Saturday evening. Hope you enjoyed.